Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one, I wanted to talk about, or first of all, I guess I'm doing a Q&A video. So thank you so much for posting all of your questions. I'm doing this a little bit early here, but I'm trying to get back on track and doing videos and all of that. So yeah, I figured I'd do a Q&A now, and then going forward, I'll start to do some other stuff here. So first of all, thank you so much for all of your questions. Some really good questions in this one here. As always, make sure to hit subscribe if you want more Walking Dead content like this. Fear the Walking Dead is not ending this weekend, but it is ending the weekend after, and it's going to be a pretty big weekend. You know, as soon as that ends that night, we could get the Ones Who Live trailer. Obviously people really want that. It's something that people are going to be really expecting, like that night. As soon as it's over, people will be expecting that sort of reveal, because after that, when else are you going to release it? Like, are you going to actually hold on to it until December? I mean, really, that's where the excitement for the Ones Who Live really kicks in. The second Fear the Walking Dead is over, from that point until February, it's going to be like trailer watch every single day. Like, is it coming out this day, or is something going to be dropping on this day kind of thing? Like, it's going to be constantly every single week. Like, when is this trailer dropping kind of thing, right? So I hope that they just release the trailer and then just sort of release like teasers here and there and sort of hype it up that way, because otherwise it's going to be honestly really painful just to wait for this trailer. Which, I mean, I'm just trying to think of, like, when would you release it? Would you release it in January? I don't think that makes much sense, because that's only like a month away really until the show premieres. Like, you want to release it in December, not around Christmas time, but you probably do, you know, like, I'm just trying to think of when the best time to release this is. And I really feel like after Fear the Walking Dead is the best time, just because it's literally the time where most people are going to be looking at it. And I just, you know, that's kind of why I have an issue with Fear the Walking Dead doing a double part finale, because it's on the 19th. I'm pretty sure Thanksgiving is, I guess it's the weekend after, but I don't know, it just makes sense for me, like, just release it on the 26th, that weekend, like Thanksgiving weekend in the US or whatever, you know, release everything with the Ones Who Live trailer, all of that. Like, there's so much hype around that time of year, around like end of November, early December. There's so much in terms of marketing and stuff that, like, it's the best time to release something like that. And not doing anything for the Ones Who Live during that period and waiting until January, where it's literally dead and nothing is really happening and no one's really talking about anything. Like, I just think that's not the best time to do it. Like, if you want people to watch this, you want more eyes on it, release it at the end of November. And so that's really, like, honestly, I'm expecting the Rick and Michonne trailer to drop within 2 weeks. Like, if it doesn't drop in 2 weeks, I mean, I'm definitely very disappointed. And I don't think the marketing is really the best for this show as of now anyways. Right now, it's all right. Like, right now, I can sort of, you know, it's okay. But if it's December 1st and we're still in the same spot, then I'm definitely very concerned, because then it's going to really feel like no one's going to be watching the show kind of thing, and they're not promoting it that much. But anyways, obviously, this is going to be a big discussion going forward. So definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all of my Walking Dead content like this. But let's get into the Q&A here. So first question here, Q&A. If the Ones Who Live is only one season, do you see them killing off Rick and Michonne? Personally, no. I don't see them killing off both of them. I think that, like, if it is just one season, they could probably kill off one of them. The one thing that I just, you know, in terms of filming and some of the stuff, like, I don't follow a lot of that. I don't know any spoilers or anything like that. There is some stuff that will pop up here and there, and when they were filming earlier this year, stuff was really popping up on my timeline, and you can't really ignore it. And so I would see certain things here and there. But the one thing that I've never really even heard of, and I'm not actively seeking this stuff out, so I have no idea, but I've never seen anything in terms of, like, oh, this character was seen here. Because, like, if there were certain characters like Judith or RJ that were supposed to be a part of this show, I feel like some of that stuff would have been known at the time, you know, in terms of, like, doing a reunion, in terms of rebuilding certain sets. And so if you're going to have Rick and Michonne go back to Alexandria, wouldn't we have seen Alexandria be like recreated or whatever? You know, like, there's some stuff like that where I'm like, that doesn't really make too much sense. And so that's kind of why I feel like this story here is going to end in a way where it sort of says goodbye to Rick and Michonne. But I don't know if there's going to be an actual reunion with our characters back home, back in Alexandria or wherever, right? So some of that stuff is just a little for me. And that's just kind of why I'm thinking that there could be more than one season, because some things just don't add up. Like, they've never been asked about anything regarding like, can there be more than one season? Is this just going to be like, that's it kind of thing? They've never been asked that yet, and honestly, at New York Comic Con, if I probably would have been one of the best questions to ask Scott Gimple, like, do you think we could see a season 2 kind of thing? Because I do think if it was a lot more like concrete, like this is only one season, he would give an answer. And if there was a chance, then he would probably just kind of dance around it. But if it was one season, he would just say, no, it's just one season. But of course, that question wasn't asked, so it is what it is. But if it is one season, I don't see them killing off both Rick and Michonne. I could see them killing off maybe Michonne. And I only say you can kill off her because, like, if you kill off Rick again, that's a lot. Like, you literally just killed him off. To bring him back for 6 episodes and then to see him really die this time, I just don't think it really works that well. So I don't think either one of them is going to die, to be honest. I think both of them will survive. And I feel like that's probably I don't know if it's the best ending, but I think that it's an ending that most likely will work, because obviously afterwards people will talk like, well, are you going to bring the characters back to do this or that kind of thing? So Q&A, what do you think of the idea that The Walking Dead would have been as fondly remembered as Breaking Bad had it ended season 6, episode 8 on its peak? You know what? I don't really like shows like that. Yeah, obviously, like in terms of success, like I guess in terms of reviews, I would say it probably would be looked back on as being more, popular and this and that. But you got to remember though, like season 6, episode 8, it was at its peak, but there was a lot of hype for Negan, right? And I just don't think The Walking Dead is one of those stories. Like, if you're going to end it at all, you probably would have had to have ended it when they got to Alexandria kind of thing. But like the hype for Negan was insane. The whole build in the second half of season 6, that very last episode, was honestly crazy. It's just what they did with the cliffhanger and some of the decisions that they made, afterwards in terms of the story and all that. I think that is where they went wrong. Like, they kind of messed up quite a bit of stuff there. And I think that is really, when it comes down to it, I think that was really the biggest issue. I think in terms of success, the show has been way more successful. Like, doing the spinoffs and all that, they're making so much off of all this. If they would have ended it back then, like, that it just kind of makes no sense. You might as well keep this going, right? So I think that overall it's still fondly remembered. People like those earlier seasons and stuff. And the thing is, we're getting really good spinoffs now that I think rival some of those seasons. Like, it's hard to say now, obviously, but I think Rick and Michonne, like The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, depending on what the story is there, it could honestly be better than a lot of what The Walking Dead early seasons are, right? Like, Rick Grimes is that great of a character. So we'll have to just wait and see. And the issue with Rick in the last couple of seasons of, when he was on the show, it was the writing and stuff, right? And so with this show here, in terms of the quality and all that, and if the writing is like Dead City and Daryl Dixon, this show is going to be phenomenal, because the writing right now for Daryl Dixon and Dead City is way better than it was for The Walking Dead season 6, 7, and 8. So I think that, The Ones Who Live honestly could do really, really amazing things. And so I just think that the way things have played out overall were definitely the best. Although I think if you never did the cliffhanger and you sped up some of the story during All Out War, things could have overall been better, right? But you can't really, like, it's easy to say that now, but overall, I still think it's obviously a giant success. Like, it's a really big show. Q&A, do you think we will see a CRM reference in these last Fear the Walking Dead episodes? If so, how do you see this playing out? I actually don't see a CRM reference playing out at all. Like, I think when Althea and Isabel left the show last season, like in season 7, that was it for CRM stuff. I think they got that stuff out of there immediately. I think the CRM stuff is now exclusively the Rick and Michonne show, so we'll have to see sort of how some of that stuff plays out. But yeah, as of now, I think that that stuff is out of Fear the Walking Dead. Q&A, do you think the Croat / the Dama will end up gifting Negan a new weapon in Dead City Season 2? And I see that you added an extra idea here, like, could he have like a hockey stick as a weapon kind of thing? You know what? Like, honestly, having a hockey stick as a weapon, I guess, could be kind of cool. I say that because I like hockey, but like, Lucille is definitely the best weapon to have. I could see Negan getting Lucille again. The issue with that, I guess, like the only issue with him getting Lucille again, and like, because I could see the Croat sort of like recreating that for him. The only issue with that is some fans might view it as, oh, you're just bringing back older storylines to get fans excited kind of thing. That's really the only thing about that would kind of cause some issues. But I do think if he had a new weapon, that would be really cool. Like, I think it's kind of cool when some of the characters have like their iconic weapons. And I think Negan having Lucille again, it's hard because there was such a huge thing as to why he gave up Lucille, he buried Lucille and all of that. Like, you can't really go back and undo a lot of that. But if he had a different weapon and something that he just really liked, and he kind of, Negan overall, like, he likes, cool weapons and stuff. Like, I could see him just kind of making something really cool and being like, oh, I really like this kind of thing, right? And I think that would be really cool. Like, definitely do that for season 2, because Negan feels really weird without any kind of cool weapon. It would be like Daryl without his crossbow for like ever, right? It just doesn't really feel the same. So yeah, I would totally support him getting a new weapon in season 2. I think that'd be really cool. Q&A, do you think we will ever see Rick's Python and Daryl's double knives again? Well, the double knives thing for Daryl, I actually think we saw that in the Daryl Dixon show. I'm pretty sure he actually had them there, or at least he had one of them. I could be wrong, but in terms of Rick's Python, like, we could see that again potentially in like an ending scene thing, but I'm pretty sure Judith has it right now. So that's, again, like, if they do a season 2 or 3, say season 1 ends with them going back to Alexandria or whatever, but season 2, like, they want to continue more stories, and so they have to go back. I could see Rick having his Python again at that point, and then maybe something happens from there. But, for season 1 of this show, I don't really see it happening. Though I do see Rick getting back into his boots, because I'm pretty sure Michonne has his boots, right? So I'm pretty sure that at some point in episode 3 or 4, we will see Rick back in those boots, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Q&A, do you think the CRM and Janae's group are working together on a big evil plan where they both are making walkers more dangerous, or I guess to try to take over the world? Or do you think the CRM are working on a cure and Janae's group is the real enemy? I guess I'm kind of in the second part there. I don't think they're working together, though they could be sort of giving each other information. There's a lot of stuff that I don't entirely understand yet, but obviously they are just sort of getting into. Like, we're finally getting into it, right? Like, we've been talking about this stuff for years, just discussing, like, what if this, what if that. We're finally now getting into some of this stuff. Like, the Daryl Dixon show introduced this new group. So the Rick and Michonne show is airing next February. We're actually going to finally get into the CRM arc. So we're finally in that story. So it's kind of fun to talk about. But I do think it's more of the second part, where the CRM are definitely probably more evil and they have, bad things that they're doing. But there might be more of, I guess, good intentions there, where they're trying to find a cure. And it could just be really bad people in charge of certain things, like, Major General Beale. But I do think Madame Janae and her group in general, just with what they're doing with walkers, that is probably a lot more evil. Q&A, do you think they renamed the Rick and Michonne show to The Ones Who Live because it's going to be the Endgame spinoff and where everyone comes together? You know what? That's not what I originally thought. And I think part of that could make sense. Like, Scott Gimple was asked about that, and he did kind of say, like, the dream would be to have all these spin-offs sort of converge narratively together. So in a sense, have like an endgame scenario where all the stories come together and it's like this one big event kind of thing, right? So he says that's the dream. He has to word it like that because he can't just come out and confirm it and be like, this is happening kind of thing, because, ratings and certain things come into account, right? So he can't just say like, this is happening, this is the overall plan, right? I think there's a lot more behind it. I do think with Marvel, they were able to do that because they were able to plan that out, and they knew that the movies were going to be a big giant success, right? Like, they just sort of had that. And that's the thing, if the movies started like flopping immediately, they probably would have canceled those plans. So in that sense, I almost would say that The Walking Dead should do that. They should announce like a 4 or 5 year window of like, this spinoff is going to be coming out here, and this is the overall plan. I think because it's TV, it's a little different. Like, TV, you don't know where things are going to go from year to year. Like, even with The Walking Dead, even though we had that comfort and we sort of assumed that we were going to be getting more seasons like year after year, it was never ever guaranteed, right? And like, even going back to season 8, after all the stuff that happened with Negan and all of that, and then you go back to the, Rick leaving the show and stuff and Carl's death, like, everyone thought, well, this is it. Like, The Walking Dead is going to be over within a year or two. Like, I still remember people saying that. I remember so many people, even YouTubers, saying that The Walking Dead has a year or two left. And this was like in 2018, especially after Rick left. They're like, you know what, they'll probably finish out the season here and like do one more, and that's probably going to be it. And look at that, 5 years later, and we have spin-offs that are even like a bigger success right now. The Ones Who Live, that show is going to be a giant success. So like, and honestly, way more successful than season 8 was. So like, when I look at at it overall, it's like, I don't think anyone could have really predicted that overall. And yeah, you know, The Walking Dead has a really, really strong fan base, and there will always be people who watch this show. So, or not show, but franchise. And yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see where it goes. But I think that, you know, in terms of it being the end game, I think if they were going to do another thing, they probably would call it something else. But maybe this show is only going to be 2 seasons, and so we get 1 season next year. And then once the Daryl and, you know, Maggie and Negan show are over, say in like 2026, 27, around there, we get a season 2 for the show and everyone comes together. We'll have to wait and see. But Q&A, in the sanctuary, when June was getting equipment to treat Dove, was that the infamous orange backpack she found? I'm not sure at all. I would have to go back and actually check because I didn't notice anything like that then. So like, it's very possible, but yeah, like I didn't actually notice anything. Like I would say though, like having something there like that would be kind of cool. Like I do remember all those theories. Like back in the day, there were so many things like that, like the orange backpack. And I mean, there was a few other things. There was something to do with something red. I mean, there was a bunch of things like that, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go back and rewatch that. But I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. I also wanted to mention one thing here, and that is that, and if you made it to the end of the video, awesome. If you did make it to the end of the video, by the way, definitely comment down below, because I would like to see who made it to the end of the video. Like honestly, I know people mostly watch the first like 5 to 7 minutes of the video or whatever, and that's pretty normal. Like most people don't watch the entire thing, but I would like to see if you actually made it to the end. But I also wanted to mention one thing here, and that is, so on Patreon, I have been sort of uploading, you know, videos and doing like a weight loss thing or whatever for the last however bit, but I've sort of have gotten to the point now where I don't really want to do that anymore in terms of with Patreon anyways. I think doing it with Patreon, honestly, is just, it's kind of a lot because I'm doing things behind a paywall. And yes, it's very, very cheap. It's only like $1 or $2. I think it's $2 exactly, you know, for like some vlogs a month, but it's one of those things where I don't want to stick to a certain schedule with it. And, you know, with Patreon, I have to, and I keep falling off the schedule, this and that. So I think what I'm going to do is actually just start a YouTube channel and post everything there. And it's just going to be free. And I think that's just the best way to do it because obviously, you know, I am like a single father of 3 and things are really rough and it's tiring, you know, like just having to upload and stick to a schedule when I have to do this already. You know, doing other things and managing just other, you know, life things, like having to do this extra thing like this is a lot. And sometimes I want to do a video on this or I want to do a video on that kind of thing. And I think that it just makes a lot of sense just to have another YouTube channel where I just sort of upload everything there. And it just makes a lot more sense overall to do it like that. And I think that, you know, that way everyone can watch, you know, the people who are actually interested can actually watch. And that's the thing too, like times are definitely really like rough right now. It just makes more sense to do it that way. And this way I have a lot more freedom to do that. I can upload 2 a week if I want, or I can upload 1 every 2 weeks. And I think it just makes it a lot more special and I can put more effort into it. And I would appreciate doing that. So I did already, like I paused everything and all on Patreon like a little bit ago. I think I did it like a week or 2 ago already and stuff like that. So I'm going to finish, you know, the videos and stuff that I have to put on there to sort of, you know, put everything on there that I have to. And then after all that's done, I think I'll do an announcement then and I'll sort of have my first video ready to go and all that then. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. That will be happening at some point later on this month in the next like week or 2. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you guys in the next one.